Well, this is more of a local story here on Keeping It Real with Alex Garrett. See, if you're in the Borough of Queens, you love the borough, right? Frank Boccardi, he's actually going to run for city council. We'll get to that in a bit. But you're a longtime friend. We went to Queens College, and you're trying to make a difference in your area of Queens. And we both agree from our time at Queens College and elsewhere, we love this borough, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. If there's any borough I love more, it's Queens cannot be matched, plain and simple.
And by the way, thanks for joining me today.
I appreciate it. And, Evan Francesco Boccardi here, and fourth-generation New Yorker and a proud son of Queens. I'll tell you that.
He really is. In fact, if you look at his campaign card, he's got the Unisphere, one of the most iconic things, not only in the borough of Queens, but in the world. But so Melinda Katz, for those who don't know, has become the DA. That meant the borough presidency is open. And sure enough, there's going to be a special election on March 24th that if you're in the borough of Queens, I want you to know about. And Frankie, wouldn't you say, Evan Francesco, I know you want me to call you, but I'm used to calling you Frankie. I would say this is going to be a big factor in where we go and which direction we go for the borough of Queens.
I would say that very much so, Alex, and you can call me Evan. But you and I, you can call me Frankie. Everyone else can call me Evan. You're only my friends call me that. But quite frankly, no pun intended. The borough president role has changed from its first. From when it was first created back in the day. A Supreme Court ruling eventually ruled the Board of Estimates to be unconstitutional, since it gave, Staten Islanders the same level of vote as the other boroughs, which had substantially more population. But the borough president is the champion of our borough. The borough president brings issues to light which would be otherwise ignored. The borough president is the one who is our cheerleader, our guiding light. And the role of the borough president changes with each individual who becomes the borough president, because that borough president decides what they want to highlight. Claire Schulman was the first female borough president, and we've had Helen Marshall, and we've had Melinda Katz. So it would be a nice chain of strong women if Elizabeth Crowley won, and that's who I feel is the best candidate currently for borough president over the seemingly chosen favorite of Donovan Richards.
Well, tell me about who is running in this race. Liz Crowley, actually related to Joe Crowley, who was ousted by AOC. But Liz Crowley seems to really be able to get to the heart of Queens. And tell me why you like her, and who else is in this race?
Well, what's interesting is right now the top Republican contender for borough president, who is Steve Mayo, surprise, dropped out. He only had he was required to get 2,000 signatures to be on the ballot, and unfortunately, he didn't make it. So it seems that boiling down now is basically just the Democrats, as easily predicted. But in the race, we had Constantinides, we have had Crowley, we've had Richards, Jimmy Van Blemmer. He's out of the race; he's pulled out now. But it's been a very, very crowded field, no doubt. Frankly, it seems to me that the two top contenders in my eyes are Crowley and Richards. But, I favor Crowley simply because I've looked at her on the issues, and she has plans. Not to quote Elizabeth Warren, but I like people with plans. I like people with grand dreams for what our borough is going to be and what our communities are going to be.
Well, you were right on the forefront of the anti-jail proposal. You didn't want the jails. You were against the proposal for the jails. Do we need a president like that that's going to say, hey, Mayor de Blasio, we're going to push back on you because we love this borough of Queens and we don't want it to be destroyed by your policies?
Well, yes. I mean, frankly, people don't think of Queens in this manner, but I mean, if there's a borough behind Staten Island that leans a little more moderate or more towards the right, if you will, it's definitely Queens. You wouldn't see that in the Bronx. You wouldn't see that in Brooklyn. You would definitely see it here. I think that, my parents both lived in Queens for many years. My mother's lived in, Lindenwood and Mill Village and Bayside and Forest Hills, where I currently reside. But she's always taught me that to be a moderate voice and to consider all sides. She's an independent voter, and I think that's reflective of what Queens is. We think with our minds. We choose the best people for the job. We don't automatically agree with one side or the other. And in my personal view, it doesn't matter if one has an R or a D after their name. They might have a good idea, and everyone should be heard out.
I love that. I love that so much.
Oh, thank you. I mean, listen, why have we become these quarreling factions in this country? Why aren't we all just people and trying to come to a common solution? That's my point of view. Obviously, I'm a registered Democrat for a reason, and I believe in my party, and I believe, in the work that has been done by FDR and Lyndon Johnson, things that have lasted a long time and are extremely popular, like Social Security and Medicare. Plain and simple, that those things wouldn't exist without the Democratic Party.
Well, I think, would you say that Liz Crowley's trying to bring that moderate voice to the borough presidency? I mean, Tiffany Caban gave a run to all of Queens, like, hey, we could have a really progressive, far-left person in office here, but thank God Melinda Katz won, right? So I feel like, would you say that Liz Crowley is another moderate voice trying to keep us moderate?
Well, again, I like to avoid labels and saying that someone is definitely a moderate, is someone is definitely a conservative. There's issues which I feel I'm very, very liberal on, and there's other issues that I feel like I'm conservative on. I think that Elizabeth Crowley, the word I would use to describe her is practical. She understands the importance of our veterans. She understands good governance. She has plans to help our environment. She has a brilliant transit plan, which nobody else seems to even consider. She's excellent. So, yes, I would use the word practical over anything else, but I trust Elizabeth Crowley. It's interesting that I was not aware until you had made me, you had not informed me, but I was not aware that she was related to Joe Crowley. But, I don't believe in being related to someone, you're not guilty by association, or you're not privileged by association. You're individual, you stand on your own 2 feet. And how you perform is how you perform. Your accidental relation to someone else does not reflect who you are as a person.
I agree with that. By the way, wouldn't you say this borough is a roll your sleeves up kind of borough, and we get the job done when we need to?
We are absolutely the kind of people who roll up our sleeves and get things done. You see that every day. We have, in my particular district, we have Regal Park, Richmond Hill, Forest Hills, and Kew Gardens. Now, Forest Hills, in particular, has an association with the upper crust because we have Forest Hills Gardens and everything. But a lot of my district is hardworking people, traffic cops, teachers, people who get out there and make things happen. The invisible heroes who make our borough what it is and make our city what it is. We are a roll-up-your-sleeves kind of borough. And that's what makes our borough a special place.
And this is the thing now. Do you think we're going to buy into this hysteria of coronavirus since we are go-getting, roll your sleeves up? I mean, look, there have been confirmed cases, but Frankie, do we see people really stay home? I don't feel like that's the Queen's way. I feel like we're going to battle through this coronavirus panic right now.
All right. So it's very interesting that you touch on this, Alex, because by the CDC's own calculation, Between October of 2019 and February of 2020, there have been an estimated 20,000 to 52,000 deaths from flu. Now, the flu has definitely killed as a baseline 40,000 people. If you compare the numbers between the flu and the coronavirus, and I'm aware of the fact that viruses mutate very quickly, I'm not seeing the same level of threat from something that people generally aren't concerned about. The flu would affect the same kinds of people. It would affect, people with autoimmune problems, the elderly, people who need to be, generally concerned about their health. But we're not in a hysteria about catching the flu on the subway, and we're not in a hysteria about catching the flu on an airplane. We still live our lives. So to a certain degree, I do. It's good to be cautious. Don't get me wrong. It's good to be cautious and to take this seriously, lest it mushroom into a larger pandemic. But some of the hysteria, and some of it's been racist hysteria, unfortunately, is unjustified at this time. It's good to be cautious. It's good to be cautious and take precautions, but it isn't good to panic. And I think that, some people, most are not panicking at this time, but some people are taking it a little too far, in my view.
And who would you say those people are? I'm just curious. Like, what have you seen that maybe my audience or I haven't seen as panicky as it's getting? What have you seen from our leadership right now?
Well, I believe that Cuomo's doing the proper job. He ran back with the federal administration, both the New York Congress people and the Trump administration themselves, for such a paltry amount. I think it was something like $35 million to fight the coronavirus out of the $8 billion dollar bill. And I guess he had some justification in that because New York's population, especially in New York City, is particularly susceptible. We use public transportation a lot more. It's a very, very dense city. It's the largest city in the United States. So some of that criticism, I feel, is justified, especially now that we have some confirmed cases. But I believe that we are doing the right thing so far. People are taking precautions. And again, people go do things that arise from hysteria, like wear a mask, and they're still worried about how things are going. And I feel that some of that, in part, is unjustified at this time.
Let's talk about, is there going to be a debate for this Queensborough president? Because I'm sure how will you handle coronavirus on a very, very local borough level is going to come up if it hasn't already. How do you think they're going to respond to those kind of questions?
Well, let me answer your question with a question. Do you believe that there needs to be a debate right now?
Well, I think if it's between Crowley and Richards, I think there should be a debate between the two of them, just so people have a fairer assessment of both.
All right. Well, it just so happens that there is a debate, and it's tonight at Queens College. I believe that, I think right now, what is it? Like I said before, we have Constantine, Crowley, Richards, and I think Quinn and Miranda, I believe. Right now this debate will boil down to key issues that affect the borough. Now, I'm sure that the coronavirus will come up. But, again, the borough president role is its power has been diminished over the years, again, by the Supreme Court ruling years and years ago, even before I was born. The borough president, I don't feel, will have a huge impact on the direct response to the coronavirus, but the borough president will be responsible for making sure that our small businesses keep getting frequented and commerce continues, especially in Flushing, which must be hurting right now because of unfair racial connotations that come along with the coronavirus. The borough president is going to be responsible to quote unquote, making sure that people keep calm and carry on. It's a necessary thing to keep our commerce going, to keep our economy going. I fear that some of this, again, hysteria over the coronavirus will lead us into recession.
I agree with you.
That's a big concern. Oh, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No. Keep going, because I agree with you. But follow on that track. What do you think is going to ultimately happen if we keep hyping this hysteria up, as you say?
Well, we continue to hype this hysteria up. And again, some concern about the coronavirus is definitely justifiable, okay? You don't know what's going to happen. Viruses mutate quickly. It can become a pandemic, and it could become a serious pandemic. But at this time, there's no need to like, I have my cousin's, my wife's kid cousin, I guess it would be my cousin-in-law, 9 years old. And we recently went to a wonderful event in my neighborhood, a food festival in Forest called Taste of the World. We actually attended yesterday. And I went around with her, and we tried all different samples from all different countries. I said, wow, look at this, Vanessa. You've tried over 12 countries, and you like them? And she goes, yeah, I like all of them. And then she goes down and was checking off all the countries that I've written down of what she likes. And then she didn't check off China. And I go, why don't you need to check off China? And she goes, well, because of the coronavirus. I'm like, what? It's totally ludicrous. What? And so this is a 9-year-old child. So if adults are doing the same thing, I think that's really ridiculous. There's nothing to indicate a person of Chinese descent, a Chinese American individual, would be carrying the coronavirus any more likely than an Italian American individual, a Polish American individual. It's just unlikely. So I think that's, if a child is thinking that, and the adults are also thinking that, maybe they should relook at what they're doing.
That is a problem for sure. By the way, you mentioned the debate is tonight, Monday, March 9th, 6 to 8 p.m. at our very old stomping grounds, Queens College, and at the very Student Union building. So if you want more information, or to, I guess, RSVP, gov.affairs, RSVP at qc.cuny.edu. Debate will live stream from college's Facebook and YouTube pages. So check that out. Looks like there's still room to go. Crowley, Costa Constantinos, Anthony Miranda, former Queens prosecutor James Quinn, Donovan Richards, city councilman, and Dow Yin, Flushing businessman. And by the way, this debate's put on by my good friends, City and State. So very cool on that front, 6 to 8 p.m. Really going to decide the future of our borough. And I think you are trying to do that as well with your run for city council. Let's talk about that, friend. You are running for city council 2021. What's going on here?
Oh, that's correct, Alex. Well, to start from the beginning, I think I first decided to run for city council because I needed to get something very, very basic done in my district. I think that basically, if I remember right, it was 2017 or 2018. I tried to get them to just install enclosed garbage cans because the old, 70s style wire baskets were basically blowing. There's so much wind that comes up where I am in Forest Hills from Willow Lake. So, it gets pretty windy, and then our trash gets strewn all over the place. It's pretty disgusting. And then people abuse it by putting stuff that clearly is household garbage or commercial garbage into the wire baskets themselves, which, of course, overflows very quickly. So I think that I contacted my councilwoman, Karen Koslowitz, to try and get some covered cans. And first off, I was amazed because literally this problem was occurring. It's not, half a block away from where her office was. So she must have driven by it every single day. And she took no action whatsoever to fix such a basic problem. And I said, geez, that doesn't seem logical. You're a council person. You must care about your district. If you see an issue, it's impossible not to see it if you're driving by it every day. That I shouldn't even need to ask you to fix that. And so I became further incensed when I tried to get, at the end of my block, it's a very, very small park. Years ago, and it still exists, but there was a connection to this small, they call it the Metzger sitting area. There was a connection to the rest of Flushing Meadows Corona Park. It was an entrance to Flushing Meadows Corona Park. And as I understand it, the entrance, of course, to the World's Fair, which preceded Flushing Meadows Corona years and years ago. And that gate has been locked longer than I've been alive. There's been, studies to open it, and it never was open. So I said, okay. I just asked politely if they could, just put in, not a lot, a swing set, a jungle gym for children in our community, just so that it just wasn't a sitting area. Because right now it just attracts, a bunch of teenagers smoking marijuana. So I felt that was a complete waste of parkland, and we could turn it into something special. I wasn't asking for a lot. And I participated in the Queen's participatory budgeting process. And I found that in the participatory budgeting process, what won, the people in my district voted were mainly bathroom and water fountain upgrades. And then I'm scratching my head and saying, wait a minute. Are people so desperate for bathroom and water fountain upgrades? Like, the purpose of the participatory budgeting process is you get a discretionary $1 million, and it's your choice in your district and how to spend it, as I understand it. It's for stuff that you wouldn't normally get. If you have a school that's been open for 80 years ago, I would imagine that at some point in the course of the 80 years, it's viewed as regular maintenance to replace the bathroom, okay? Because nothing's going to last 80 years.
You would think so, Frankie.
So the fact that our councilwoman isn't getting this as part of a regular package defeats the purpose of the participatory budgeting. These funds are to improve our district and to get us things that we wouldn't normally get. Now we're using this discretionary funding to get the basics that we need. One woman came in saying that in her school, I forget which school it was, but it's in my district, District 29. She was trying to get a new oven for the kitchen because the old oven was just completely shot. It wasn't working in the school. We're using discretionary funds to fix an oven? Is that not like an immediate thing? We're like, oh, well, we need to get that fixed right away because we have, a few thousand kids to feed today, so we should really take care of that at once.
If that's how our government works, then I was just gobsmacked that it came to that we would have to use discretionary funds to get the basics of feeding our children. I was just gobsmacked when I heard that, and I said, this government isn't working. That's preposterous. That's not how it's supposed to work. Over the time, my wife encouraged me to throw my hat in the ring. The final straw for me in encouraging me to run was, of course, as you know well, my friend, the announcement of the borough-based jails, which is, going to be billions and billions of dollars for jail cells. I think that the current rate of cost, at a conservative estimate, it's going to cost $2 million per jail cell to house individuals accused of crimes. $2 million per cell. And the fact of the matter is, I've always viewed it as the entire process was a complete farce. Because if they really cared about the prisoners' quality of life, which is what they're purporting when saying we're going to shut down Rikers, it's an illegal place, blah, 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 they would have also passed a law, or at least asked Albany to pass a law, creating a look-back window to punish those guards who have committed human rights atrocities. Basically, there's a very short statute of limitations, a very short, very, very short statute of limitations if you commit an atrocity against a prisoner. And so basically, as long as no one finds out about it, you're in the clear. You keep your job, you keep your pension, you're not reprimanded in any way. So what on earth is going to change if you take these same guards who have not been reformed or not been retrained at all, and you put them in different buildings? Are they going to change their behavior? I would logically think not. So if they really cared about the good of the prisoners, and they really cared about the human rights atrocities that were committed in Rikers Island, they would have also passed it along with the caveat that there needs to be a look-back window for the guards who committed human rights atrocities. My mother's cousin actually was a guard at Rikers Island, and actually he later became a member of the Secret Service. And he knows what life is like on Rikers Island. It's a tough place, but you can't let the people who are supposed to be punishing the people breaking the laws break laws themselves. And I feel that's very rational. I'm a very common sense candidate. And that's the way I feel. I mean, there's a lot of good guards in New York's boldest. The vast majority of them are good guards, but there are some who go too far. And if the city council really cared about that and not ticking off certain groups, then they would have passed that with a look-back window.
But also, I would say inmates haven't been treating guards as well either, and that's also been highlighted.
Well, that's fair to say. I mean, there are some of those jails who don't behave themselves, but the presumption is that, you're innocent until proven guilty. So you can never have your rights, your rights cannot be taken away until the fact. I'm a very strong believer in the Constitution. And where we get, as you know all too well, Alex, the Constitution particularly outlines cruel and unusual punishment.
Right.
The guards are in the position of issuing cruel or unusual punishment, whether it's de facto or it's actually written down as de facto. So if a guard commits an atrocity which is in violation of the law, that guard needs to be reprimanded. Again, moving the people who committed these atrocities, and again, the vast majority of guards, including my family, I won't name him by name, but my mother's cousin who worked for Rikers, the majority of them are good, decent, hardworking people. But there are a few bad eggs who give them a bad reputation. But we need to make sure overall that the law is obeyed, that we do not violate cruel and unusual punishment, that people are innocent and proven guilty, and they're kept comfortable until the time that they're actually sentenced and found guilty and then actually sentenced. I don't think that's such a crazy idea that we protect people who have not committed crimes. I think you're probably pretty familiar with the Khalif Browder case.
Yeah.
Where a poor young man was accused of I believe he was stealing a backpack or something like that. And, for those unaware, it turns out he didn't do it, but he was kept in solitary confinement for so long, but basically, for lack of better words, it warps your brain, more or less. It screws with your brain chemistry to be in isolation from other human beings. And he eventually killed himself, unfortunately. It's very tragic for someone who was innocent. So, I think that justifies – Police Browder is a perfect example of cruel and unusual punishment. That should never have happened. And I don't know about you, but that does not smack me of justice in our American system of justice. And that's all I'm going to say on that matter.
Well, so you're obviously for better care, and instead of building a new jail, you want to find ways to improve their lives. But also, I feel like they've taken that sentiment of being nice to those who have committed crimes, or giving them an innocent until proven guilty. I do feel like they've taken that overboard with the bail reform and allowing everybody, even those that have truly committed crimes and bad ones, to get back on the streets. Would you agree with that?
Well, I mean, truly committed crimes, what do you mean by that? Because if I arrest someone, that doesn't mean that they're guilty.
Well, I mean, murder. I mean, people that have been career criminals, robbing people and some of them have committed murders. I mean, they haven't just secluded this to those who truly deserve a second chance. They've opened it to those who have continually been arrested for doing heinous things.
Well, I don't believe that murder was included under the bail reform laws. So let's make that clear. sure that wasn't. But there are numerous laws which were included under bail reform, which I was shocked that Albany passed. Basically, you can be accused of menacing, third, fourth, and fifth degree arson, assisting in female genital mutilation, promoting suicide attempts, obstructing governmental services with a bomb, first-degree stalking while committing a sex offense, reckless assault of a child, and criminal obstruction of breathing. These are all crimes which, under the bail reform law, these individuals can't be held. So I was pretty shocked to see those, because those. Listen, I could understand that if committing shoplifting, that there's no. That's a victim, of course, is a business that got shoplifted. I won't say it's a victim's crime, but for shoplifting, no one got hurt. Okay, that's the caveat. Menacing, third, fourth, and fifth degree arson, female genital mutilation, and promoting suicide attempts, amongst all the other ones I just listed. Those are ones where people can get hurt.
Absolutely.
So I'm obviously, and I think that the majority of your listeners and the majority of the people in my district and citywide would agree that having those in there, it's got to be scratching your head, like, how did those get in there? I'm just sorry to say that's happened. The bail reform law does need tweaks. Its intentions are very, very good, and the idea is, well, basically, since you didn't have to put up bail, for the individuals who could not afford to put up bail, they're free on the streets and they can mount a defense for themselves, which I believe in. Again, I believe in the due process of law.
Sure.
I'm a strict enforcer of the due process of law, and everyone needs the opportunity to mount their defense. However, if you pose a potential threat to the public, okay, such as obstructing governmental services with a bomb, then, yeah, you pose a threat to life or limb to another human being, and you should be held until we can determine, if you're really a danger or not. I'm sorry to say, but there were things in the bail reform laws passed by my own party which I feel were a mistake.
All right. I go for it. Sure. Sorry.
No, please, next question.
Well, no, I'm just, as we're wrapping this up here, I do want to know, the silence from your city council member must be driving you nuts enough to run against her. Like, I feel like she's been silent on, or even supportive of, the entire bail reform, or she's been silent on the jails. I mean, would you argue that's been your main motivation, how quiet she's been on this sort of takeover of Queens?
I would say that my councilwoman, Karen Koslowitz, I'm sure is personally a very lovely woman. But yes, I very much disagree with the way she's been running the show, from the fact that I can't get a garbage can on the corner of my block to the fact that she supported the $10 billion for a towering, at first 27-story, now she knocked it down to 19-story jail to be built in my neighborhood. At the same time, when we could take that $10 billion and put it into the poorest districts of our city, giving people an education, getting them out of poverty, introducing recidivism programs to make sure people get back on the right track and they don't end up behind bars. That would be a better use of $10 billion. The fact that she voted for that, I'm gobsmacked. And most of the city council, as you well know, will be ending their term, and I will have a new class of faces, let's say, if I should be so graced to be a member of the city council. But yes, I've been very, very disappointed with Karen Koslowitz. And I've discussed this with a lot of people in my community. And again, I'm sure she's personally a very nice woman. But a lot of people in my community feel she just goes around and takes photo ops and then puts out a publication every month saying, from your council member, Karen Koslowitz. And that's not what the job is. job is not taking photo ops and giving the illusion that you're doing something. The job is doing something. And that's how I feel about that.
Well, Evan, Francesco Boccardi is his running name, and where can people find your website?
Oh, it's my website is Boccardi. That's BOCCARDI for citycouncil.com. One word. And, you know, I invite everyone to go online. You know, I have a number of positions of improving Queens Boulevard and greenifying Queens Boulevard, establishing parking permits like Chicago and Los Angeles have, so to improve parking in everyone's own neighborhood, expanding our public transportation system, establishing recall elections to keep our politicians honest, establishing resign to run laws so people like de Blasio can't run for president and abandon our city, like 5 other states currently have. You know, establishing quiet cars on the subways, new contextual development, and new homeless programs to help our homeless, particularly the mentally ill. And my favorite part of what I'm doing, besides helping our seniors, our veterans, and disabled, is our small business promotion, because we really love our small businesses and they make our neighborhood. So I invite you, everyone who happens to be listening, and I appreciate you listening, to go onto the website, BoccardiForCityCouncil.com, and take a look at our positions. And if you have ideas or suggestions or dreams for what our community can be, I'd love to hear them. We would really appreciate your input. So I thank you for your time, Alex. I greatly appreciate it. I'm so thankful that you gave me a call.
Well, Evan Francesco Boccardi, Frankie, you know you've been there from the start of this, so I'm glad that you're now working to make a difference as well, and we're going to be behind you every step of the way. And Boccardi for citycouncil.com, right there, Evan? Evan?
Yeah, that's correct, Alex.
All right, I actually heard you. No, just kidding.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, I'm Alex Garrett. Please do check out the debate tonight at Alma Mater, Queens College, and we will talk to you soon, as this thing's not done yet. We've got a lot to talk about with the race, with Evan Francesco Boccardi's race. I'm Alex Garrett. Keep it right here.
Thank you, Alex.